Hey y'all, I'm Jennifer with Spark Flash Fiction, and tonight I am here talking to Megan Soja, who is the author of A Serendipitous Stumble. And if you don't have to
Yes.
say that slowly, I don't know what else you do. Um, I want to introduce her real quick, y'all. So, Megan is a multi award winning author who writes stories with strong faith, rich history, and sweet romance. Her debut novel, set in Boston at the start of the American Revolution, releases in 2025. She lives in Western New York with her husband and two daughters and loves having adventures, both big and small, with her family. So, Megan, first off, I want to ask, since this is our fairy tale issue, what fairy tale did you decide to base your story off of and why?
Well, I was looking at the prompt and I almost didn't submit anything because I was like, I don't know, fairy tale retellings is maybe not my typical wheelhouse here with the historical fiction, but I write 1770s and it just like occurred to me that women wore these red cloaks. That was like the fashion of the time was they were called cardinal cloaks and they wore these bright red cloaks. And I was just like, well, that's Little Red Riding Hood. And that was just the spark of the idea. And then I thought, it would be fun to play up the wolf as what if he's actually not the bad guy after all? And I don't want to give away too much, but I'm my current work in progress. I have the heroine is the daughter of an apothecary. So I had done a lot of research with that. So I was like, maybe I could bring in some things from there and weave that in. And so that was the inspiration for the story.
I love that because I was afraid we wouldn't get a lot of historical ones. And since I write historical romance, I was like, please give us some historical. Um, but I love that idea too about the kind of like the mistaken identity and the
Mhm.
apothecary. Love me. I don't know why. There's something about an apothecary. I love a good apothecary character.
Yeah, it's so interesting.
So, are we possibly, maybe, going to see these characters in your an upcoming story? Or are they like one and done?
They're a one and done. Yeah, they won't be there, but you might see some hints back from the apothecary stuff for sure would come back again.
Well, tell us about your upcoming novel about the apothecary's daughter.
Yeah, so that's actually going to be the second one. So it's the
Oh,
first novel. So that's going to be a three-book series. Um, the first one is set during 1773. So the big historical event is the Boston Tea Party. And that one is a little bit of it's got a little bit of the forbidden love because there's a patriot loyalist thing going on there. Um, and I'm really excited about it. Last December was the 250th anniversary of the Boston Tea Party. So it's been so fun to dive into the history and know a lot more about it now. And the series as a whole is going to follow three siblings. So it's going to start in 1773 and it's going to hit some of those big events that happened in Boston leading up to the revolution. So you got the Tea Party, Lexington and Concord, Bunker Hill. And so each story is going to focus on a different sibling, but you'll get to see their family relationship throughout. And each of them will get their own little love story. And there's also an espionage theme kind of woven in there with all three. So um, it's been really fun putting it together. So my first book is the main heroine is Patience, who doesn't feel like her name fits her very well. And Josiah is the hero. He's a blacksmith and he's in the Sons of Liberty. So they're a lot of fun. And then book two focuses on her brother and the apothecary's daughter, which I'm working on right now.
ooh. That's so much fun because I feel like lately we haven't seen a lot of novels set during the American Revolution. Like they were really
Yeah.
popular for a time, and then it was all of a sudden like died off, and everyone wanted a western.
Yes. Yeah. I feel like the same. It's been a long time since I've seen a lot of them out. And it's always been my favorite time
Mhm.
period. So, um, yeah, it's been really fun. And now we have all these big kind of milestones coming up with 250th anniversaries of different things coming up. So it's kind of fun to be revisiting them now. So.
Did you get to research on location, or did you have to rely on online sources?
So I actually had been in Boston. My younger daughter has a congenital heart defect, so we had been in Boston for some medical reasons for her, and I knew that I kind of wanted to try to write the American Revolution time period, but I didn't know what exactly I wanted to focus on and where I wanted to have it set. So we did get a chance to go around and do a little bit of sightseeing and see some of the old cemeteries and the old buildings, and I thought, it's got to be Boston. This place is so cool, and now it has a special, meaning for us. So I've been there a couple of times for medical things and got to see a little bit. But we did also take a trip last year and went to the Boston Tea Party Museum, which was so cool. If you like history at all and you're in that area, I highly recommend it. They have replica ships, and you can go and you can toss tea in the harbor, and so that was my on location research, which was really like just so much fun.
Oh, I love that. That does sound like a lot of fun. I bet, I see these British people on social media and they'll make these jokes like, you want to make us cry, like remind us about that time that you threw tea in the harbor. So I want someone to write a modern day story about someone who takes their British boyfriend to that museum.
That would be hilarious. That would be such a fun story.
It would. I'm challenging somebody watching this. Do it.
I love it. I love that idea. Yes. Do it.
So you wrote your story based off of Little Red Riding Hood, but is that your favorite fairy tale, or is there another one that you just really love?
No, I was always a huge Beauty and the Beast fan because Belle and her whole, got her nose stuck in a book, loves the big library, loves to have adventures through stories, but also wants to have real life adventures. She was always my favorite.
Mine too. There's something, every time I talk to a bookish person, they're always like, I want Belle's library. And I'm like, I know,
Yes.
right? But that's the most romantic part is when he.
Oh, I know. He opens the doors.
Oh, so good. Okay, so you obviously write historical romance. So I'm guessing that's your favorite subgenre to write. But what's your favorite one to read? Like, do you ever find yourself going into another subgenre?
Well, so I definitely love reading historical also, but I find sometimes I get to a point when I'm writing when I have to take a break from reading historical just because I need like, I don't know, a clearer mind. I don't know if you have the same experience, but then I like to switch over to some contemporaries. Every once in a while I'll do some rom-coms just to really lighten it up. So, but usually historical is my go-to.
You know what I find funny? Jen Torino, who writes like hilarious historical rom coms, once said she doesn't read historical romance.
Really?
She reads like those suspense books with like the serial killers.
Oh my goodness.
And stuff, which I find hilarious. So I'm like,
that is hilarious.
Where are you getting all this material? But she was like, I don't read historical romance because I'm afraid I'm accidentally going to steal something. I was like,
yeah.
I guess I can see that a little bit.
Yeah. I had a Laura France book, Heart Adrift, like sitting next to my bed while I was finishing my first book because I was like, I can't read it until I'm done because I just don't want to have her voice, like the way she writes her, what language she uses and everything. It'll be my reward when I'm done. I can't read it while I'm writing.
Love it. That was a good book.
Yeah, very good book.
I think that was the one that she wrote a story for us that was like a prequel.
Yes, I read it. I remember that. Yeah.
That was really exciting.
Yeah.
All right. What is your favorite romance trope to write?
So I was thinking about this, and I don't ever set out with a trope in mind. Like I haven't thus far, at least. But it's kind of what fits the story as you're writing it. So the first one does have the whole forbidden love thing. I actually think, and I like to read this a lot, I love the friends to more. I just love that idea of that relationship is already there on this one level and then seeing it move into something deeper. And I love a good slow burn. So I think that lends well to that.
I have to agree. What's funny is I never realized how much I apparently love Friends No More until I started going back to all the stories I had written and like set aside. And I'm like, I'm noticing there's a little
trend. Yeah.
Now, fairy tale retellings are pretty popular, which is why we chose the theme. So have you read a book recently that you just like really enjoyed and you would recommend to someone who's like, hey, I've been really enjoying all these fairy tales. I want to read another retelling?
Yeah, actually, just last month I read Karen Whittemeyer's Fairest of Heart, and I loved it. It was so fun. I mean, she's just got a very fun, and she's so creative. And have you read that one?
Yes.
Yes, it was so good. I mean, so for those who haven't read it, the Snow White retelling, and she's got those retired ranch hands in the place of the seven dwarves, and they were just like fantastic characters. Everybody's unique and fun. So I really enjoyed that. I would definitely recommend that. And I haven't read the next one, but I think the next one's a Cinderella
Yes.
retelling. So it's on my list. It's on my list to read. So
that was really good, especially since it's a gender swap.
Yes, that sounds very cool.
It was really cool, like the way she did it. I was like, I like this a lot.
Yeah.
It kind of makes me a little jealous that I didn't think of it first, but
I know, it's such a good idea. Such a good idea.
Yeah, I know. Now I feel like I can't do it, or I just like look like a copycat.
Right.
All right. So tell me, you've mentioned Laura France, you mentioned Karen Whittemeyer. Tell me some other favorite sweet romance authors.
I really like, well, in the historical arena still, I really like Tamara Alexander. One of my critique partners, put a little plug in for her, Lori Dudley. She writes Regency, but she does a really cool twist. She has a whole series. I think there are 6 books, if I'm remembering correctly, that are set in like Nevis. It's like the British Caribbean islands during the Regency era. So they're really good, and it's a unique twist on it because you see a lot of Regency, obviously, but it's a different, very different setting. So that's fun. I recently have been reading some that I would say are deeper. They deal with some deeper issues, but still have really beautiful romance. Jennifer Q. Hunt and Heather Wood. I've just been finishing a couple of their books and really enjoyed those. That's all historical still. I love Melissa Tagg, especially her Muir Harbor for contemporary. I really loved that whole series as well. So.
All right, those are some good suggestions. My mom read the Lori Dudley ones, and she was like raving about them to me.
Yeah,
to read these.
They're very good. Yeah,
I'm like, I'm just gonna add it to my 1,000-long.
I know the pile that just. I know sometimes people give me book recommendations, and I'm like, I want to hear, but I also don't want to hear because I have too many already.
But really, though. All right, so now I'm going to throw a question at you that I did not prepare you for.
Okay.
If you could write in any other era besides like American Revolution, what era would you choose?
So I guess I would have 2. One is I live near the Erie Canal, which is a pretty cool historic feature of New York State. So I think it would be really fun to write something along the lines of when the Erie Canal was being built, which is like early 1800s. And they had a lot of like Irish immigrants that were building. So there's a lot of cool potential there that I think was interesting. I also feel like it would be a very daunting task, but it would be super fun to write like pilgrims or even far, like just kind of go back farther to just the really early days, because I think that's another one you don't see quite as much of. And I kind of like that, like focusing on something that's maybe not done as often. So
yeah, I have to agree. Those are good ones. All right, Megan, where are some places that readers can connect with you?
Well, they can find me on my website, which is just my name, megansoja.com, and you can sign up for my newsletter. That's the best place. I send out just one a month, so you won't get overloaded, but you will get a free short story if you sign up, and it's about a couple of Boston Tea Party participants. So one participant, and actual based on real people, which is really kind of fun. I am on Instagram, which is megan.soja, and Facebook. I'm trying to remember what my tag is there. Megan Soja author, maybe. That's a newer one. And then Goodreads, I'm there as well.
All right, awesome. And y'all, if you are on Instagram, you're going to want to check out Megan's takeover in our stories tomorrow. She's got some really good slides, and I know because I've already seen them. But that's going to be a lot of fun. So be sure to check that out. If you haven't read her story yet in our latest issue, I'm going to put the link in the comments as soon as we go offline so that you can go check it out. We do have a poll open for your favorite story. So you can vote for her to win. Love it.
I would.
Like, yes. Show us more American Revolution. Speaking of which, I was like obsessed with Amber Lynn Perry's books for the longest, and I think she took a break.
Yeah,
I'm like so sad over here. I have the walls.
Like bring them back. Yeah, oh, I mean, mine goes back to I had a Felicity doll. I mean, it was long ago. This has been a long time coming for me. So,
you know, Felicity was the reason I had a crush on. I think it was a blacksmith. Like, because I think her dad was a blacksmith, and then she was like friends with the apprentice. If I remember correctly. Yeah. I'm like, I just thought the blacksmith was like such a cool job.
Yeah,
so I don't know why. Me and
I got the blacksmith in book 1. They do seem pretty cool.
Yeah, they do. They really do. All right. Yeah. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. I'll be sure to put the links to all of Megan's socials and her newsletter so that you don't miss out anything, especially next year when her book comes out. And from what I hear, there is a cover reveal that is going to be happening at some point. So you're going to want to see that. So you're going to want to give her a follow. So thank you, Megan, for joining us. Thank you, everyone, Jennifer, for watching, whether it's live or on the replay. And I hope you all have a wonderful night.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Jennifer. Mm-hmm.